You flew a plywood plane that could only land once. No engine, no parachute, no second attempt. Just fabric stretched over steel tubes. A machine its own pilots nicknamed the flying coffin, the purple heart box, the tow target. On D-Day, when the tow rope released over Normandy, you had exactly one chance to bring that Waco CG-4 down into a hedgerow-studded Norman field, in the dark, under fire, trusting instruments you doubted inside an airframe you doubted even more. The question isn't how many survived, it's why anyone volunteered in the first place. The order came down from General Hap Arnold in December 1941. Build an airborne army, and do it fast. You stand in line at a drafty recruiting office, papers in hand, watching the quota on the wall climb from 1,000 to 6,000 pilots in half a year. The need is so urgent that the rules bend and break. The height chart on the wall drops to 5'4". Men with glasses, men with flat feet, men who never would have touched a powered cockpit now sign their names. The word spreads. If you can hold a stick and read a compass, you're in. Officers are in short supply, so the sergeant next to you, Di Pietro, signs the same form. Enlisted men, for the first time, are told they can fly. The recruiters don't hide the risks. No engine, no parachute, no radio. They call it the flying coffin, the purple heart box, the tow target. But the promise is clear. You get to fly and you get to fight. You will be both pilot and infantryman, a new breed, trained to land in the dark and hold the ground until the main force arrives. The paperwork piles up. Policy memos from Air Force's headquarters, stamped with urgency, announce the new standards. The instructors read from a list: Victorville, Camp McCall, La Mesa, Fort Bragg. 12 weeks. Powered trainers first, then sailplanes, then the real thing, fabric and plywood, steel tubes, and a nose that swings open like a barn door. There's no time for second thoughts. The war is moving too fast. You watch Di Pietro scrawl his name, hands shaking just enough to betray the truth. Everyone here knows what they're signing up for. The quota keeps rising. The line moves forward. Your turn comes next. The first lesson is simple. If you want to wear silver wings, you have to survive the pipeline. The army hands you a battered logbook and points to a row of trainers out on the dust-choked field. You climb into a tiger moth, then a PT-19, learning to trust your hands more than your instruments. The panel in front of you, airspeed, altimeter, compass, turn and bank, looks like it belongs in a child's toy. No radios, no parachutes. The instructors say, if you can't land dead stick, you're not coming home. The training syllabus moves fast. Powered flight is just the warm-up. Next come the sailplanes, TG5s, patched together from plywood and canvas, so light you can feel the wind flex the ribs beneath your boots. At La Mesa and Camp McCall, you practice silent landings in fields barely wider than a tennis court. The first time you cut loose from the tow, there is nothing but the hiss of air and the rattle of your own breath. Every landing is final. The ground comes up hard. You hear the stories at Chow. 79 pilots lost in training so far, more than some combat squadrons. The numbers run through your head as you watch the next class take off. July 1943, Victorville. An instructor leans on the wing of a TG-8 and the whole assembly folds like wet cardboard. The glider spirals into the sagebrush, killing everyone inside. After that, no one trusts the glue. The joke goes around. If the wind does not kill you, the plywood will. McRae sits beside you, knuckles white on his knee, eyes fixed on the runway. He saw the Victorville crash. He has not slept since. You both know the truth now, before you ever see Europe. The sky itself will try to kill you. The only way forward is to keep climbing back into the cockpit. The next flight is yours. You hear the word glider and imagine something delicate, almost elegant. But then you see the real thing, a plywood carcass, stitched with canvas, built not by aircraft engineers, but by piano makers, furniture shops, coffin factories, even Sears Roebuck. 16 companies, most with no business near an airfield, are pressed into service. The army needs thousands of gliders, and it needs them yesterday. At the Willow Run plant, Ford churns out wings by the mile. In the George W. Harvey shop, the same hands that once shaped walnut caskets now hammer spruce spars. Speed is everything. Quality is a gamble. Rumours swirl through the barracks. Inspectors at one plant find that 9 out of 10 glue joints can be pried apart with a pocket knife. The joke goes, if the wind doesn't get you, the glue will. July 1943, Victorville. An instructor leans on the wing of a TG-8 and the whole assembly folds, killing everyone inside. But the worst comes in May. Lambert Field, St. Louis. Army brass, city officials, and a crowd of dignitaries gather to watch a demonstration. The glider lifts off, banks, and then a wing shears away. 10 dead, including the mayor. Nobody talks about it in training, but the story lingers. Every time you run your hand along the fuselage, you wonder what's holding it together. You hear the names whispered: Purple Heart Box, Flying Coffin. You start to believe them. The army wants numbers, not questions. Inspectors rush the lines, but the quota keeps climbing. You can smell the glue, still tacky in the seams. You sit in the cockpit and feel the flex in the floorboards. The only thing between you and the ground is faith in men you'll never meet. You grip the stick and wait for the next order, knowing your first landing might be your last. You sit in the cockpit, knees pressed against the plywood wall, staring at a panel that offers nothing but the bare minimum. Airspeed, altimeter, compass, and a turn and bank indicator you barely trust. The numbers are burned into your mind. The glider weighs 4,495 pounds empty, but with a jeep or a howitzer and a dozen men packed inside, you're pushing 7,500 pounds. That's a wing loading of 17 pounds per square foot, light enough to keep you aloft, heavy enough to make every landing a gamble. Best glide comes at 75 to 80 miles per hour. That buys you a glide ratio of 12 to 1, 1 mile forward for every 440 feet you drop. At 3,000 feet above Normandy, you have just over 6 minutes before the ground comes up to meet you. There's no engine to save you, no radio to call for help. The only thing you control is the stick in your hands and the angle of your descent. Cargo is crammed tight. Willys jeeps, 75mm pack howitzers, crates of ammunition, field medical kits, even a half-track if you're lucky. The load shifts with every bump, straining the cable that runs from the tie-down to the cockpit floor. If you hit too hard, the nose pitches up and the cable yanks the seat, trying to keep you from flipping end over end. You can drop the landing gear at 200 feet, letting the wheels fall away, trusting the hardwood belly skid to take the blow. Everything about the glider is a compromise. Light enough to float, strong enough to haul a jeep, fragile enough to shatter if you land wrong. The TOW rope is your lifeline, 350 feet of nylon, stretched between you and the roaring C-47 ahead. The moment it snaps, you're committed. One shot, one landing, no second chances, and you can already feel the ground getting closer. The roar starts before you even leave the ground. It is not the steady hum of a bomber or the thrum of a fighter. 52 gliders break loose over Normandy at 3:54 a.m, each one a plywood shell packed to the limit. The manifest is a roll call of risk. 27 jeeps, 12 howitzers, 8 medical units, 5 loads of ammo and rations, and a single half-track wedged among the crates. You feel every pound as the floor creaks under the weight. The cockpit smells of oil, sweat, and the sharp tang of doped canvas. There's no radio chatter, just the hush after the tow rope snaps free. Somewhere below, 300 steel spikes, Rommel's anti-glider poles, wait in the fields, spaced 10 feet apart, each one a promise of disaster. The landing zone is a rectangle of darkness, barely enough room for a 60-foot wingspan to clear the hedgerows. Fort, flying 2 ships ahead, yells through the slipstream as a wing rips away. It was like hitting a wall of iron. The nose dips. You count the seconds. The altimeter spins down. Every glider in the wave gets one chance, one shot to land. No second try. No way out. The ground is coming fast. The landing zone is a black rectangle, hemmed in by hedgerows, no wider than a city block. 250 by 350 yards if you believe the briefing. But it looks smaller now. You drop the wheels at 200 feet. They fall away, thudding somewhere behind you. The belly skid, a slab of hardwood barely thicker than your boot, is all that stands between you and oblivion. You line up with the white panels nose down, airspeed needle trembling at 78. There is no time to pray. The wind claws at the fabric, and the ground rushes up. You brace for the hit. The impact is savage. The skid slams the earth, the whole glider shuddering like it is coming apart. Your teeth rattle, cargo lurches forward. The cable under your seat jerks the nose up just enough to keep you from flipping, but you feel the jeep behind you slam against its tie-downs. Di Pietro's shoulder smashes into yours. The sound is a mix of screeching wood, tearing canvas, and men shouting over the chaos. You are skidding now, ploughing through wet grass, praying you do not hit a pole. The hedgerow looms, too close. 5 gliders ahead have already torn open on the thorns, splinters and canvas everywhere. 6 more are burning or shattered, scattered across the field. The glider groans as it slows, then stops. You are alive, but the air is thick with smoke, screams, and the sharp tang of blood and oil. The crash is over. The fight on the ground begins. You claw your way out of the shattered glider, boots slipping in the wet grass, rifle already in your hands. The crash is still ringing in your ears. There's no time to count the bruises or check for broken bones. The men you brought, some dazed, some being scrambled to form a rough line along the hedgerow. You remember the lectures from Camp McCall. Pilots are infantry now. Every glider pilot is trained to shoot, move, and hold ground. You know how to strip an M1, clear a jam, fix a bayonet. But none of it feels real until the first shots crack through the darkness. A German squad bursts from the tree line. Sergeant Ainsworth, just 23, moves faster than thought. He loses his carbine in the scramble, draws his combat knife, and lunges. The fight is desperate and silent. Later you will hear how Ainsworth killed an SS rifleman with nothing but that blade, one of the first hand-to-hand kills by a glider pilot on D-Day. The rest of you fire from the ditch, trading rounds with shadows. There's no backup, no radio, no way to call for help. 30% of the men in your wave will not walk off this field. You fire, reload, and fire again, the training and terror blurring together. The only way out is forward, through the dark, toward a line you hope is friendly, and you have no idea how far you'll have to go. You shoulder your pack and start walking. The glider lies splintered behind you, its plywood ribs jutting from the grass, its cargo scattered or burning. McRae limps beside you, one boot boots soaked in blood, the other caked with mud. The field is silent now, but the cost hangs in the air. Of the men who landed with you, 40% are gone, killed or captured before they ever reached the hedgerows. The math is simple and cruel. The brass calls it a 35-mile trek to the nearest rally point, but no one counts the detours around enemy patrols or the hours spent hiding in ditches. You clutch the priority chit given before takeoff, a scrap of paper meant to guarantee help if you make it out. Each step is a gamble. The only thing heavier than your rifle is the memory of those left behind. You keep moving. The line between pilot and survivor blurs with every mile. Normandy was only the beginning. Sicily, Salerno, southern France, Holland, Bastogne, the Rhine, each new operation meant another wave of Plywood gliders, another midnight tow, another field ringed with steel poles and machine gun fire. You flew in darkness over Gala, bracing for the surf. You dropped into the Rhone Valley, hedgerows and vineyards blurring under the skid. In Holland, the sky filled with burning wrecks as market gardens swallowed men and machines whole. Then came Operation Varsity, over 900 gliders crossing the Rhine, jeeps and howitzers packed to the limit. Every landing was a gamble. The numbers add up. 247 glider pilots killed in combat, hundreds more wounded or missing. Each mission demanded the same impossible bargain: one flight, no return, and the hope that your landing would not be your last. Only a handful of these Plywood ghosts remain. Fewer than a dozen CG-4As have survived from the nearly 14,000 built. Each one is a battered relic, canvas patched, wood faded, scars from landings that could never be repeated. The rest vanished into bonfires, scrapyards, or the soft earth of foreign fields. At the Silent Wings Museum, the story is kept alive. 22,000 visitors a year come to walk the length of a real glider, to see the names in the Roll of Honour, to hear the silence that followed the roar. Over 1,000 air medals were pinned to uniforms that once bore the glider wings. The job ended when helicopters took over, but the memory hangs on by the thinnest thread. You flew a plane that could only land once. Now with so few left, the question lingers: who will remember? The wind still roars in your ears, even after the crash. Today, pilots face new machines and new wars, but no cockpit demands that same impossible mix of skill, fatalism, and grit. Pilot, paratrooper, infantry, all in one. The flying coffin's lesson is blunt. Courage doesn't always earn a second chance. Some landings, in war and in life, you only get to make once. Share your thoughts below.